got a question on the YouTube channel just the other day. How come my orthodontist only gives me a glued retainer or a permanent retainer on the bottom teeth? Aren't you just dying to know? Time for some PFOing so you know where you're going. Actually, before we jump into that, it was kind of funny the other day. I was with some people and they saw PFO. It was a kid and he said, "What's PFO?"
Oh, I get it.
I thought that was pretty funny. It's PFOing, not PFOing. Anyways, glued permanent retainers. So first, as a reminder, for those of you who haven't seen some of my other videos, retainers are absolutely essential to keep your teeth straight after you go through braces or Invisalign to straighten your teeth. There are different kinds of retainers. There's the traditional kind, the Essex or clear retainer kind, and then there's the glued, fixed, or permanent kind. Most people call it permanent retainer because it gets glued into place and it doesn't come in and out like the other kinds. The traditional and the Essex retainers, those come out. You can take them out to eat, to clean. Most of the time people are wearing those just at night. But the glued or the permanent retainer, that goes in and it's supposed to stay in there.
It won't come off!
Assuming that you take care of it and you don't break it. I try to be very careful in calling it permanent retainer because folks think of like permanent marker, like that stuff just like doesn't come out. Well, this is not like that. The permanent retainer, the glued retainer can come out. It's kind of like brackets except on the back of your teeth. You get a small wire, you glue that wire on. Sometimes folks only glue it onto 2 spots, and some folks glue the wire to each tooth. It's just a different technique for a similar type of permanent retainer. Most people know that the permanent retainers are glued in to the bottom teeth. A lot of folks like, oh, what kind of retainer you got, you know? In fact, I think some businesses are asking about that these days if you're looking for a job. It's like, is it glued in? Is it on the bottom? Okay, you're in. If it's not, some people are like, well, why am I only getting a glued in retainer on the bottom and not on the top?
Just tell me why.
The bottom teeth are typically the teeth that get really crooked. And it's not that the top teeth can't get crooked. They tend to move a little bit slower, or we notice more crowding in the bottom. One of the reasons why you consider a glued in retainer is severely rotated teeth. Some folks, you know, hey, I don't want to wear something at night. I just want to keep these front teeth straight. Glued in retainer. Not a bad option. Well, why can't we do the same thing on the top? Sometimes we do. For those of you who have diastemas, check out the video that we made before about spaces in between your front teeth. You become a good candidate for considering a glued in retainer behind your top teeth to try and help keep those spaces closed. But there's a reason why not everybody gets glued retainers on top. A good portion of orthodontic offices only provide bonded or glued in retainers on the bottom. And here is a significant reason why. Here is one example of a bonded retainer. It's a little bit thicker bar, goes behind the bottom teeth, and it gets glued here and here. And it just tries to keep these teeth from coming back and getting all twisted. Like I said, right? That's what happens. These bottom teeth, they tend, without any retainer, they tend to come back and get all overlapped over time. Here's another example of a glued in retainer. You got a wire, a small wire in the back, and then it gets glued to each tooth. Sometimes people get spaces in between their teeth. In order to keep those spaces closed all the time after you go through braces, you should consider having a glued or a wire put behind these teeth and glued into place. This is one of the reasons why it can be challenging. Imagining the glued retainer on the bottom. Hey, no problem. We can stick that on there. No problem. And then we only see a little bit of top teeth up here. Those bottom teeth right here are hitting the top teeth behind, right? Feel with your own teeth. Your bottom teeth should be touching or really close to touching the top teeth in the back. So if you tried to stick a wire back here, you'd have to really put it way up here with some small pieces of glue so that your bottom teeth don't bite onto those pieces. Especially look at these canines. The canines sit a little bit higher. The bottom canines, they sit right here. If you had a wire that was coming across here, this canine right here might just chomp on it. So if you are considering glued retainers, they're great options. Speak with your local orthodontist to decide if you are a good candidate or what reasons why you might want to consider a glued in retainer. And then for those of you out there who are just like, well, why won't they put a glued retainer on the top? The answer is we can, but depending on your teeth and your bite, you may or may not be a good candidate for it. And if you're not a good candidate and you still decide to put a glued in retainer up on the top teeth, you might be dealing with failure of those glued pieces more often than you want. So there you have it. If you're thinking about getting braces and you have questions about glued in retainers, the potential, come and find us around the Anna or McKinney, Texas area. Would love to talk to you about glued in retainers and how we can keep those beautiful teeth straight and those spaces closed. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel so that we can continue to open your eyes to the wonderful world of straight teeth, glued in retainers, and beautiful bites. That's all I've got. Just a little PFOing so you know where you're going. Packard out.